Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the second half of From the Chair. This is From the Chair After Dark. Your host will be joining you here in a few moments to give you a rundown of After Dark, and we might even do a little bit of wrestling news. That all depends on the mood of the host after this. So, ladies and gentlemen, I know that he's just itching to get started. He's not dying So we'll be back in 30 seconds.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to From the Chair After Dark. We're going to be recapping NXT. The first match was the 20-man over-the-top Battle Royal to determine Wesley's final challenger for Stand and Deliver for the North American Championship. Good match. One of the better Battle Royals I've seen. We'll get to how I feel about the other battle in a minute because something kind of changed for me, even though I can't change my picks. But so it started out really interesting because Scripps, who for those who don't know used to be Reggie, jumped off the top rope at the beginning, landed on to Quincy Elliott, knocked him off balance, and he got eliminated, which wasn't much of a surprise considering he just came back from injury. The bigger surprise was that Dijak got eliminated by Odyssey Jones. And then Dijak and pulled Odyssey out and they started fighting. That's the reason I like this Battle Royal a little bit more than some you see on the main roster. Because it seemed like they were using it a lot to set up maybe some future matches. So then it became more of your like standard Battle Royal. Just people getting eliminated left and right. Jinder Mahal, though, was eliminated pretty early, which I thought was a little bit of a surprise. I thought he would last maybe to the final three, but he didn't. So it took like 4 or 5 guys to get rid of Dabba-Kato, who was the biggest person in the match. So it came down to Axiom and Nathan Frazier. And those two, like, were tearing it up in the ring, constantly reversing each other, trying to get each other over the top rope. One of the cool spots towards the end was Axiom went for his running sidekick, and Nathan Frazier timed it perfectly, waited for him to jump in midair, and kicked him with a side kick, with a thrust kick. Uh, and he just like collapsed to the mat. But just as Nathan Frazier looked like he was going to be eliminated, he did the Shawn Michaels where only like one of his feet touched the floor, skinned the cat, but then Axiom did hit his kick, but Nathan Frazier bounced back into the ring, so there was a little bit of bad luck there. But then Axiom grabbed him and threw him over the top rope. So Axiom will claim the last spot in the North American Championship match at Stand and Deliver. So it'll be Dragunov, JD McDonough, Dragon Lee, Wesley, and now Axiom. Thoughts on that one, Tony? Oh, I'm sorry.
Great match. Don't watch NXT, but it sounded like a great match. Nathan didn't put me to sleep this time, so his commentary must be getting a little bit better.
It helps when you get a lot of practice. The next match was Von Wagner with Robert Stone. Still having their problems. Not quite sure why WWE hasn't pulled the trigger on splitting them yet. Against Tyler Bates, who was accompanied by Chase U to show solidarity for their 8-man tag against Schism at Stand and Deliver. Back and forth match. Tyler Bates proves how much he really is getting used to being on NXT. And I know people are going to say, well, he was on NXT UK, but they do things a little bit different on the regular NXT. So, but it seems like he's, getting into the rhythm of things. At one point, he grabbed Robert Stone from the outside and pulled Robert Stone into the ring. And then Robert Stone crawled out to the other side where Duke Hudson was there to like stop him from leaving. And then Tyler Bates jumped over the top rope, did like a half cartwheel, and landed on Robert Stone. So that pretty much took him out for the rest of the match. Got back into the ring, and then Von Wagner went for his tornado boot, which Dijak uses also. But Tyler Bates ducked it and hit his rebound clothesline and got the win. After the match, though, Schism showed up on the Titantron from the Chase U classroom and kind of did this like horror movie like reenactment of what it's going to be like when Schism takes over the Chase U campus. They had a couple of the Chase U students that you would see with Andre Chase that seemed like they were terrified. They said that there'll be a hall of losers that they'll keep in Chase U, which had Andre Chase, Duke Hudson, and Thea Hale. So that should be. I actually think that's going to be a sleeper match on Stand and Deliver. it won't be the showstopper, but I think it's one that people might think they could use as like their bathroom break match, but I honestly wouldn't. Then they showed a backstage thing. Oh, sorry. Your thoughts on that one, Tony? Again, I know you don't watch NXT, but based on what I said,
Based on what you said, I'd be scared if I was Chase U. They sounds like Schism sounds like some pretty bad people.
yeah, I would agree with that. And we'll get to our stand and deliver predictions later, but I wouldn't be surprised if Schism wins that match. Honestly, the way they're setting it up. Then they had a backstage segment with Kiana James, Fallon Henry, Fallon Henley, and Briggs and Jensen. And there's a lot of tension in that group because of the fact that Briggs and Fallon know about Kiana cheating on Jensen with this Sebastian, who they still haven't debuted yet. And so there's this, do we tell them now or do we wait? Kiana keeps trying to win favor with them. This time she got them a main event match on NXT where if Briggs and Jensen win, the triple threat at Stand and Deliver became a fatal four-way. Then they showed which Briggs and Jensen were very happy about. They all hugged, although Fallon was very hesitant to do it. And then they showed Roxanne Perez walking down the hallway. And before I say this, I have to give Pat credit for our earlier episode because he ended up being right, although I don't agree with this. She went into Shawn Michaels' office, said that she was cleared to compete, that the only reason she passed out was because of exhaustion and her anxiety, said that she wanted into the NXT women's ladder match to defend the title that she never lost. Shawn Michaels was very hesitant at first, said that she was only 21 years old, and she had her whole career ahead of her, and why take the chance? He said, wait till after Stand and Deliver, have a couple of matches, and then you'll get the first title shot after Stand and Deliver. But then Roxanne kind of threw it back at Shawn Michaels and said, I understand where you're coming from, but you were at every WrestleMania. And you didn't just say that at every WrestleMania, oh, well, there's next year's WrestleMania. Right? She said, I want my chance to prove myself on what's our biggest stage, which for NXT is Stand and Deliver, especially with it being in Los Angeles. And so Shawn said that he would agree, but only if he got like medical reports and if he talked to the doctors. So unless something comes up with those reports or him talking to the doctors, Roxanne Perez will be or is added to the NXT ladder match. Thoughts on that, Tony? Do you think that's a good idea, or?
So let me speak to you. And I like this because you can't see me, so you can't see what I'm doing, and you can't tell what I'm coming at you with.
Exactly.
So I kind of like this a little bit better because now you don't know if you're going to get nice, Tony, or you don't know if, let me talk to you, Mean Gene, Tony, or if you're going to get the broken Yoda Hardy version.
Oh my God, I'm almost breaking again on that one. Okay, so your thoughts?
Roxanne Perez should never have lost that title, so why is she even in a ladder match going for a title that she never lost?
Well, again, she said she wanted to prove herself.
It doesn't matter. She shouldn't have to prove herself. She should never have been stripped of the title, and it should never have been lost in the first damn place.
I agree with that, but my point is, why would you do it? Have her come back on NXT, right before Stand and Deliver. Why wouldn't you have just made her a surprise entrant for Stand and Deliver? Yeah, would have got you more of a shock and awe moment.
Yeah, but Triple H and Shawn Michaels aren't AEW and the big shock and awe surprise moments.
That is true. Thank you to the one viewer that's watching us tonight. We really appreciate that. So then they had the debut of Eddie Thorpe, who, I don't know if you know, Tony, who Eddie Thorpe is.
No, but I'm sure you're going to tell me.
Of course I am.
Then get to it.
Eddie Thorpe is formerly of New Japan, Carl Fredericks. Apparently now in NXT, he's tapping into his Native American heritage. And so they had him up against a jobber named Michael Bourne. I wonder if they gave him an ultimatum, though. But who knows?
So excuse me, let me interrupt for a second. Any relation to Matt Bourne?
I hope not, because this guy looked like a toothpick. So, classic debuting superstar against an enhancement talent. Eddie Thorpe dominated and hit him with a Pele kick from the ground. It was actually pretty interesting. And I actually had to see it on a replay because it happened so fast I kind of missed it in real time. So, although for the fans out there that watch the Flash, was it there a character on the Flash called Eddie Thorpe? Possibly that's where they got it from. So really nothing, too special about this one. He moves around the ring, really well, although you would expect that from somebody coming from the New Japan Dojo and stuff. Kind of excited to see him with some tougher competition. But so, I mean, do you have any thoughts on that one?
You kind of put me to sleep on that one. It was slow.
Well, yeah, I apologize for that. Then they had probably the best match of the night, which was the triple threat match to determine what would now be the sixth member of the ladder match between Ivy Nile, Sol Ruca, and Indy Hartwell. Ivy Nile was going for pins left and right. And then Indy got her spots in. Sol Ruca kind of stole the show. She was doing some Io Sky Rey Mysterio moves where she would do a dive. She did a dive off the ropes where she literally went off the screen in the replay. That's how high she got in the air. Then Ivy Nile, they went back and forth, and Ivy Nile walked in her submission. But Indy Hartwell was kind of walking towards the corner to try to do the Bret Hart, flip over. But as they got close to the corner, Sol Ruca ran up and hit the Soul Snatcher, which is that Vader Bomb RKO on Ivy Nile. And but as Sol Ruca was going to go for the pin, Indy Hartwell threw her out of the ring and then hit Ivy Nile with the kind of like the cross hammer that Karrion Kross does to the back of the head and got the pin. So now it'll be Indy Hartwell also in that match for the NXT Women's Championship. Personally, I was kind of hoping it would be Sol Ruca, but I can't be 100% mad at the fact that it's Indy Hartwell. Although I always feel like, now I'm starting to feel like every time they need an extra person in a ladder match, it has been Indy Hartwell quite a bit. So, maybe that's why I was kind of feeling maybe it should have been somebody else. Thoughts, Tony?
I love that finisher. I'd love to see it in person one time. Maybe I'll use it to snatch your soul.
That would be kind of weird, but I agree. I love that finisher. I don't know. Sol Ruca is really impressing me with her growth. If you remember, for the fans out there that watch NXT on a regular basis, if you remember when she came in, she was athletic, but she didn't seem like she knew how to move around the ring that much. But now she's becoming very seamless in the ring, and she's kind of trusting herself more when she does the dives. So, yes, she might not be in the match for Stand and Deliver, but I don't think it'll be very long before she challenges for the NXT Women's Championship. And then they kind of doubled up on women's matches because they had, I'm going to butcher this lady's name, but I apologize. Valentina Para against Elektra Lopez, and the two of them have a lot of history because it was Elektra Lopez that was trying to mentor her on being a little more aggressive in the NXT locker room. And about 2 weeks ago, she was in the corner of Elektra Lopez, and Elektra went for the brass knucks, i.e. William Regal. And Valentina already had them. And she caused Elektra to lose, and then Elektra got in her face, and 2 weeks ago, Valentina knocked her out. So they had a match so Elektra could get her revenge, and that's pretty much what happened. I mean, Valentina got a few moves in, but it wasn't much of a match. Elektra Lopez hit the Sky High to get the win, and that was pretty much it for that one. Thoughts?
Oh, sorry. I just woke up. Did you say something?
Yeah, I did. My apologies on that one. That wasn't a very entertaining match for me either. I don't know. I've had a hard time getting behind Elektra Lopez in NXT because and this isn't a slam on Selena Vega, but I really think that Elektra Lopez should have been brought up with Legado del Fantasma. And so it kind of feels like she doesn't really know what her character is without that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So then, I'm sorry, were you going to say something? Were you saying something, or was that just a noise?
No. Go ahead. Go to the next one.
So then they had a match that started in the Battle Royal, a student versus teacher match. It was Hank Walker versus Drew Gulak. A lot better of a match than I thought it was going to be. A lot of map-based stuff, so it's obvious that even though it was a storyline that backstage, Gulak had probably showed him Hank Walker quite a bit. Hank Walker did this cool move where he did like a belly-to-back suplex, but he stopped it midair and turned it into a Fujiwara armbar or a cross arm breaker. But then Charlie Dempsey, who was outside, distracted the referee, and Gulak poked him in the eye, put Walker in a submission, and got the victory. So I can honestly see maybe Hank Walker getting a tag team partner and, trying to take out both Gulak and Dempsey at the same time. Now, who that tag team partner would be, I don't know. Because they haven't really shown him being with anybody yet. Other than maybe Quincy Elliott back before Elliott got hurt. So maybe they go back to that. Any thoughts on that one?
Good old Drew Gulak and Dempsey. Ship off the old block, that Dempsey is.
He is. And honestly, I really like the pairing of Drew Gulak and Dempsey.
Like I said, chip off the old block, that boy is. Cheerio.
Yes.
Cheerio. His daddy left AEW to come back and work with his boy. Cheerio. And too bad he can't come and be face to face on the camera because we really miss him.
Yes, and I can't wait till that year agreement ends up and we can see the interaction between those two. And then the wrestling main event, because it wasn't the last segment of the show, was the match between Briggs and Jensen and Tony D'Angelo and Stacks, who's now, like I said last week, is now going by the Underboss. Briggs and Jensen were on the same page, which hasn't really been happening the last few weeks because Jensen's head's been on what's been going on with Kiana James because he can tell something's going on. This time, though, like I said, they were on the same page. Towards the end of the match, they showed Kiana and Fallon backstage. If Fallon said one way or the other, win or lose, she was going to tell him that Kiana had been cheating. Kiana went after her and said, Fallon, let's talk. Then at the end of the match, the Tony D'Angelo and Stacks did a assisted prototype powerbomb like John Cena used to do. It was actually a pretty cool finisher, so they got the win. And so the match at Stand and Deliver between the Creeds, Gallus, and Tony D'Angelo and Stacks will stay a triple threat. Then Fallon got in the ring and said that this is enough. It's been going on long enough. That she needed to tell Briggs something. Kiana got on the mic and said, "No, I need to tell you something to Jensen." But then she said, instead of telling you, why don't I just show you? And she walked up to Jensen and kissed him. Which, for anybody that's been following NXT, that's all he's really wanted for the last few months. So he was happy. Briggs and Fallon were confused because I don't think that now they don't know what to do because Jensen's probably going to be love struck again for a while. Uh, and then the last segment was Grayson Waller coming to get the contract from Vic Joseph that he would have to sign to meet Johnny Gargano in in an unsanctioned match at Stand and Deliver. There was security surrounding the ring that Grayson Waller paid for to keep Johnny Gargano. Actually, before I do that, any thoughts on that Briggs and Jensen match, Tony?
Sounded very entertaining. You know, and a woman will get him every time.
Yeah, that's the way it's gonna be too. Although, I really want to know who this Sebastian is, because if they're dragging it out this long, it's not just gonna be like, a guy maybe from the NIL program or something. It's probably somebody that we've seen before. That maybe they've signed to NXT. At least that's my guess. So then the next segment, like I said, was Grayson Waller going to get the contract to see if he would face Johnny in an unsanctioned match. But there was security around the ring that Grayson paid for in case Johnny got in there. He walked up to Vic Joseph, grabbed the contract, and said he is going to sign it because whatever he does to Johnny Gargano at Stand and Deliver, he wants it to be in front of Vic Joseph, since Johnny Gargano is Vic Joseph's boy. Then he got in the ring and said 2 years ago he tried to do everything to get over with the fans. He was singing or, dancing and smiling and doing everything that the fans would want him to do. But in the War Games, he was like the fourth known person, or the fourth, person that people thought of on Team 2.0. Even when he got in the cage and he dove off the top of the cage, nobody really talked about him. So that's why he turned it on all the fans and said that he's going to destroy Johnny Gargano, who used to be the heart and soul of NXT. And as he kind of turned towards the entranceway to walk away, one of the security guards or the cameraman that was in the ring dropped the camera, pulled his disguise down, and it was Johnny Gargano. They brawled to the back. Waller security tried to separate both of them. They broke free. Johnny did like a half dive, probably because he didn't run far enough to really get a lot of lift. And that's how it ended with them kind of fighting off. There was one bump that I kind of cringed over for Grayson Waller. He was too close to the steps, and Johnny hit him with a clothesline. And instead of launching over the steps so he could control where he landed, he kind of, you ever like see how somebody slides backwards down like a slip and slide?
Mm-hmm.
He kind of glided across the steel steps. And by that time he had no shirt on, so he kind of glided across the steel steps and landed flat on the floor when he came across the other side. But then, like I said, that's how it ended. The grade I would give NXT today is probably an A-. They did a really good job setting up Stand and Deliver. There wasn't a lot of promos for, like we had on Raw. So it was a very, very good show. Tony, I think you said that we might talk about some wrestling news. Do you want to take it from there?
No. Oh, yes. He's back.
So are you saying Broken Matt Hardy's back, or did you just bring back your version of Broken Matt Hardy? I'm sorry, I'm just clarifying.
You better be nice or I will delete you.
So let me explain why I'm a little more nervous now about the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal on SmackDown. During a commercial for SmackDown, they showed the people that were going to be in the match, right? And I completely spaced out LA Knight.
Dummy, yeah.
And knowing how much for the last 3 or 4 weeks, LA Knight has said nothing more than wanting to get on WrestleMania, I can honestly see, even though I can't change my picks and I'm still going to go with Dolph Ziggler because I have no choice. And that was all on me because I made that pick without seeing who was all in the Battle Royal. I can see LA Knight winning that and then him using that. Maybe he comes out after one of the matches and says, I demand a match because I'm this year's Andre the Giant Memorial, winner. That's why my doctor and I chose Kesimpta. Kesimpta is different. It's the only B-cell treatment for RMS I can take at home once a month. So, Kesimpta was proven superior at reducing the rate. And that's why I feel a little more nervous now than I did earlier.
That's okay, Nathan. I'll make sure I get you a nice pink Power Ranger with your pink dress.
Actually, if you listen to Megan, who left a comment on one of our videos today, she underneath the video put a picture of a very tall lady wearing a blue dress. Hello, Dakota. How are you? And
yes, also that's correct. Yeah, we've been trying to reach them all afternoon. Sure, I can help.
Nate is the pink power.
Every time I turn around.
Oh, good. That's his favorite Power Ranger. He had a crush on her when he was younger.
I did. I'm not gonna lie.
And he's gonna be sitting there watching the 30th anniversary of the Power Rangers in April. But I was just telling him, though, I'll make sure that I get him a pink Power Ranger to go with that pink dress that he's going to be wearing to the Mariners game in August.
Yes,
because
but
he's losing it Friday because he chose Dolph Ziggler in the Battle Royal.
Yes, I know. That's probably the one that's going to do me in.
Oh, I'm sure there's going to be a couple more that do you in, but Friday will make sure that Friday will make sure we'll have a special after dark.
Yes. But unfortunately, she's not going to be in the Power Rangers special. They actually used the pink Power Ranger that took over for her, Catherine Sutherland.
Really?
Yeah. No, Dakota, Sol Ruka didn't win. She came close. She hit the Soul Snatcher on both Ivy Nile and Indy Hartwell, but Indy ended up throwing her out of the ring and getting the win. Yeah, they according to what I heard on Twitter and Facebook, she didn't want to wear Amy Jo Johnson didn't want to wear spandex anymore, like they would have to do in the Power Ranger movie. And plus, with Jason David Frank dying recently, she didn't feel like she was ready yet to go back into that world without him being there. Well, that she didn't want to travel to New Zealand where they were filming uh, the movie. So, well, since we have Dakota on here, earlier, do you want to say what we talked about? You sent him a message on? Oh, he might have left. Never mind, I think he left.
Yes, our fan Dakota had actually offered to help us get like a design for our podcast, and I think it would be a very cool idea and a very cool thing to replace that duck up there powered by StreamYard. We can use it with our own little logo and make our podcast that much better.
And I know you don't like taking credit, but I'm going to give you a little bit, if you don't mind.
Well, I'm listening. Go ahead.
This man, ladies and gentlemen, has been working his butt off trying to get us guests for this podcast. And can't go into very many details yet because they haven't been confirmed, but some of the people that we've both been in contact with has already made our heads spin, so you guys are going to love it.
Plus the opportunity to interview Plex and his manager again.
Yes, and guys, I was thinking during NXT who I would compare Plex's manager to, and see if you agree with this, Tony. I was thinking, like, as far as like the way he projects his voice and stuff, like maybe like a Jimmy Hart without the megaphone. But with the style that he has, I would say maybe like the Reverend Slick.
Ooh, good comparison.
I mean, this guy, when I heard him talk about Plex, when I watched Plex's videos, which you can find on YouTube, by the way, it automatically took me back to that time period. And it's a really good thing because I think managers like that are what's missing in wrestling right now, at least the wrestling that's on TV. You know, you don't have the managers other than maybe Paul Heyman who go out there and the manager is as much of a character in and of himself as the wrestler. I mean, look at the olden days when you had Bobby the Brain Heenan, Jimmy Hart, Mr. Fuji, Reverend Slick, even Miss Elizabeth, who didn't say much, but you know she still conveyed a lot of like adding stuff to the Macho Man.
Ooh yeah,
Sensational Sherry. You know, those type of managers added so much to the wrestling business And honestly, I don't know why they got away from that. Your thoughts on why they might have gotten away from those kind of over the top managers?
I don't have a clue, my man. I don't have a clue.
I mean, you and I are pretty close in age, and so I'm pretty sure you remember pretty vividly those managers.
Yes, I do.
I mean, okay, if we're gonna do this, just popped in my head. My top managers of the ones that I mentioned, and it's close because they all have characteristics that made them, great in their own way. But if I would have to pick the top one in that group, I would have to say Bobby the Brain Heenan.
Yes, I agree. Bobby the Brain was such a good manager.
And he was the first manager I saw that knew how to work the crowd.
He was the first manager I seen to call people humanoids.
that too. But what I mean by working the crowd is there were times in that when Bobby Heenan was a manager for somebody that the fans didn't care about what was going on in the ring. They just wanted to call Bobby Heenan a weasel.
That was all the time when he was with his Heenan family.
Of course, and like all the crowd, that's all they chanted was "Weasel, Weasel." Yeah, it would probably didn't matter what was going on in the ring. They could have been playing cards for all the fans cared. You know what I mean? As long as Bobby the Brain Heenan reacted, then they were happy. And then to make the other thing that I have respect for him over and put him a little bit higher than the rest of them, to make that seamless transition from being a manager to a commentator and to form one of the greatest commentary teams of all times with him and Gorilla Monsoon. Which gives me chills just saying those two names because it flashes my brain back to all their commentary. Yeah, I mean, hell, even I'm in the process, for full disclosure, of watching all the old WCW Nitros on Peacock, and even right up in the late 2000s, right when his throat cancer was getting bad, he was still having like 5-star commentary on Thunder. I mean, there were times where you could tell he needed to take a break to, rest his voice, but that just amazed me.
Exactly.
And at least in my lifetime, I got to see my two favorite commentators commentate together, and that would be JR and Bobby the Brain Heenan. Do you remember that one?
Yeah, I do.
I remember what made me laugh on that one. That was at WrestleMania 9, and Bobby Heenan riding backwards on a camel.
Oh, yes. I remember that.
Getting mad at the Macho Man because he was supposed to be on the Vestal of Virgins.
So, I know this was WrestleMania week, so all the news is just electrifying.
Yes.
It's mesmerizing.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome John Travolta.
Go Grease Lightning!
We're gonna do our prediction shows, Dakota, on what we say, Tony, Thursday.
Well, he's already done his WrestleMania picks. So here, let me speak to you. He went in the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, which will happen this Friday on SmackDown. And it's always part of WrestleMania, so I had to make sure I threw that match in there, much to Mr. Nas's demise. So,
Yeah, we kind of went back and forth on that one.
So he went with Dolph Ziggler.
Still kicking myself for that one.
In the Charlotte Flair Rhea Ripley match, he went with Rhea Ripley. I think he's got that one. The Bianca Belair Asuka match, he went with Asuka. I think he's got that one. The Brock Lesnar Omos match, he went with Omos. I mean, come on. He had to go with the big guy, right? I think he may have got, I feel 50-50 on that one. He took Austin Theory over John Cena. Now, come on, man. He took Austin Theory to beat John Cena? Really? Come on. John Cena all the way. I think he's losing that one. Seth freaking Rollins and Logan Paul. You went with Seth freaking Rollins. Who wouldn't? Safe pick. Edge versus Balor. He went with Edge. Now, come on. You're going to go against Demon Balor with the Judgment Day? I don't know. I think he lost that one. Let's see here. What else did he predict? He took Damage Control over Lita, Trish, and I don't know. I had to take the Beautiful Ladies. He took the Damage Control and the Damage to Goods for all I care. Gunther, Sheamus, and Drew. He took Gunther. And ladies and gentlemen, I might actually go to Oregon City on Friday morning the 7th. I haven't told you this yet, Nathan, but I'm going to tell you this anyway. I may leave a little bit early and actually come back home before I take everybody else, go to Oregon City, go to the wireless store up there and meet Mr. Drew McIntyre in person.
Oh.
I don't know, I might. The other thing I think he's going to miss is the Fatal 4-Ways. He took the Street Profit in the men's. I think the Street Profits are going to probably implode and disband. My pick, Brock and Ricochet. He went with Liv Morgan and Raquel in the women's match. You can't really go against Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler. That leaves the Usos and Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn and Roman Reigns and Cody. This one here, he just went with the pulling of the heartstrings and went with Teo and Sammy. However, I think I actually agree with him on this one. But deep down inside, because we're honorary Usos now, you got to hold your ones up.
It is true.
But he can't change his pick, so he went with Sammy and Teo. But I honestly think he's right on this one. In the main event of night 2, Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes. He actually missed this one. He went. Just kidding. He went Cody. So I think he's got that one right. So if I was the one giving him his predictions, I would say he's gonna wear a dress Friday, and on the show he misses 3 on the show.
Well, let me explain why I went with the ones that you think that I'm gonna lose on. I admit that I messed up on the battle royal, and I think that's the one that's because I didn't wait to see who was in the battle royal. I just went with the biggest, like what would be the biggest surprise, and right now it'd be Dolph Ziggler winning. Um, the Brock Lesnar Omos match, I went with Omos because there's a lot of rumors going around that Brock's leaving. So if Brock's leaving, why would, in my opinion, why would you put Brock over when you could build Omos up, kind of like what you built Brock up with the Undertaker? What was the other one you said you think I got wrong?
Both of the four ways.
Okay, so I picked the Street Profits because they're not pushing the Viking Raiders. Otis is gonna go with the Maximum models and become fully OTs. So Alpha Academy is not winning. And Braun Strowman and Ricochet, even though they were on the winning side of Monday Night Raw, haven't been getting much of a spotlight period on SmackDown, so I don't think they would win. So it was kind of a process of elimination thing, and I went with the Street Profits. I do agree.
The team that's going to be dissolving after WrestleMania because they won't be able to get along.
I do agree that they're going to split, but and it could be right after WrestleMania, but I still think they have a chance to win. And I think Coda has a point. The only way that would change is if they bring the Hurt Business back together and put the Street Profits in there. But
it's only going to be one of the Street Profits. It's not going to be both of them. They're pushing Montez. I mean, you even have to admit that. The other one's the Marty Jannetty of the tag team. You've even said that myself, my man.
He is, but I think people are going off the picture that they.
Why would you put the Marty Jannetty of the tag team with him if he's going to reform the Hurt Business? I mean, come on, man. Get it together. Your picks are supposed to be better than that.
Well, I mean, I was just answering Dakota's question that he put in the.
See, Dakota agrees with me.
And I could be completely wrong on that one. So that, and then the women's one, Chelsea Green and Sonya Deville are just a thrown together team to be put in there. So I don't think they're winning. Natalya and Shotzi, I don't even remember the last time Natalya won at WrestleMania. So
that's true.
I don't think she's winning. And as far as Ronda and Shayna Baszler go, we don't know how healed up that hairline fracture is in Ronda Rousey's arm. So to me, that only leaves Raquel Rodriguez and Liv Morgan.
Well, we'll see come Saturday and Sunday.
And as far as John Cena and Austin Theory, which I think is the one that boggles Tony's mind, how I can vote against John Cena. We don't know how big John Cena's movie schedule is post WrestleMania. So if he does have a movie scheduled, which I know there was one he was filming before he showed up in Boston, where he actually had to wear a dress. So I don't know if that movie's finished filming yet, or if he just took a break to wrestle the match at WrestleMania. So my point is if he has movies scheduled, then it wouldn't make sense to give him the United States title. And then plus, if you want to build Theory up, what better way to like have him like move on to the next echelon, I guess, than to say he beat John Cena at WrestleMania. Kind of like what Chris Jericho said after Vengeance when he said he beat Stone Cold and The Rock in the same night. Not that that's on the same level, but he could boast at that same level.
Yeah, but who's to say that he couldn't win the title, take it to Raw, relinquish it, and walk away? Just to tie the Nature Boys record.
He could, so then let's play that one out a little bit. If he relinquishes it, what do? Do you have a battle royal for the United States title? Do you have something they haven't had in a while, a single night tournament for the United States title, or do you just find two contenders and say go fight for the title?
You put 6 people in it and put it in a 6-pack scramble, beat the clock match.
Ooh, I like that.
Person with the best time wins the title.
Ooh. Okay, I like that idea, but I have a better idea. Or not better, but
of course you're trying to one up me always, like you always do.
No, I have an interesting idea. Follow me for a minute. So we know that they're having the King of the Ring tournament in May in Saudi Arabia, right? The King and the Queen tournament.
Right.
What if for the first time ever, if Cena wins, they put the United States title on the line in the King of the Ring tournament?
I like it.
I mean, I love your idea too, because it's a kind of a throwback idea. But I mean, if WWE's really trying to impress the Saudi Arabia, the people of Saudi Arabia, in case they want to buy WWE, that would, I mean, the tournament thing would really impress them, in my opinion. Although I am kind of hoping that Saudi Arabia doesn't buy WWE just because it would be a PR nightmare.
Yeah, and then would they still show it in the States? How would they do that?
See, that's the thing. I don't know. And honestly, that's what Engel brought up this afternoon. He said sold to anybody other than NBC. Okay, how can we help you out, Dakota? While we're waiting for that answer, he said to be worried if WWE gets sold to hear you up. Sorry. Yeah, he could bring back the Open Challenge, but it would only be one if he had a movie.
Well, one's enough to get it off of Theory.
Touche. But then who answers the Open Challenge?
Who answers the Open Challenge?
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe the Piz or the Fizz.
So you would put the United States title on the Miz?
Oh, I like Dakota's answer better. Solo.
I like that one. I was thinking maybe Seth Rollins.
No, I do like that one better solo.
Yeah, I do too. Yeah, that's right. He is the only one that hasn't held the title. At least on the main roster. He held the NXT North American title for a little bit. But getting back to the Ego thing, he said, be afraid if NBC doesn't buy WWE, because who's to say whoever buys if it's somebody else? If they even keep the library, the video library public, if it's like, he brought up the example, if it's like Disney that buys them, and Disney doesn't want to show the Attitude Era because it's against their brand, then would they just lock up the video library, and then the WWE network would go away? To where if it's NBC bought it, they wouldn't take it off Peacock because they can make, they already have it all set up and everything.
Right.
And I think the one sticking point for Vince McMahon, and again, I have to give Angle credit for this one earlier today, is that Vince still wants to be involved with WWE after the sale happens. And I don't know if whoever buys the company would want Vince to stay as involved as he is now.
Well, whoever buys the company can tell Vince McMahon those dreaded 3 words he always tells everybody, or 2 words that he tells everybody else.
Ooh, that's another good idea, Dakota. He said, what about bringing Randy Orton back to answer the open challenge on the Raw after WrestleMania?
The one from Los Angeles. Yeah, why not?
Then you have the rematch of Randy and Cena from SummerSlam. It's not too early to put your name on the perfect RV for you. Plus, we've got used RVs and multiple finance options. So, you have anything else to add, Tony?
No, I think you're doing good on content, and so now I think you can tell him now, since he's on, what you want to do about the thing he asked you earlier.
Dakota, yes, we would like your help making a logo for the show. Maybe we could get together somehow and kind of design one out. Or either way you want to work it, just let us know. But thank you for the offer, and we accept. So we both think that it would be an awesome thing that we could get rid of the duck up in the corner. And again, Tony, thank you for all your hard work this week and before that. You've been knocking that out of the park with finding these huge guests that could be on the horizon.
Could very well be on the horizon. We're not done by any means with our guests. However, after WrestleMania week, we may slow down on some wrestling news and actually get into the sport of America loves, and that's the good old baseball.
Yes, because opening day is Thursday.
Yes, it is.
The Mariners, the
All
Cleveland Guardians.
sandwiched into WrestleMania week. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah. And Mariner and the pitching matchup for that game is phenomenal for the Mariners and the Guardians.
Costello versus Bieber.
Yeah. That's a very, very strong opening day matchup. But I would still give the Mariners the edge just because the Guardians have had some injuries creep up right before opening day that I think might make it hard for them to beat us. Like I think their second starter in their rotation is out for like 8 weeks.
Yeah. Kind of. Yeah, I know. Kind of don't rub in losing starters, But yeah.
So who do the Braves face opening day?
It's gonna be Fried versus Strasburg in Washington.
Ooh. Good pitching matchup, but the Braves should own the Nationals because I don't think Nationals did anything in the offseason to make them any better than they were last year.
Yeah, the only thing that scares me is their game 3 starters out for a couple of weeks.
And who was their game 3 starter?
It was supposed to be Wright, but now it's going to be one of their rookies. Sometime this week and talk on Facebook and let us know what you're thinking. Okay. Sounds good, Dakota. Nathan, you can, if you want to, you can have. You kind of know what you want, so.
Yeah, well, I'll get together with you probably later this week or next week. More than likely next week because this week's WrestleMania week, and then we have a few days next week before we go to Portland, so that I could,
anything to replace this powered by StreamYard duck.
Yeah, you know what the duck reminds me of? For the people that remember this, you ever play the video game Duck Hunt?
Yep.
It reminds me of the ducks that you had to shoot in that game, but I hated that game because I always missed and I wanted to shoot the damn dog. But it never would let me. Sure, there was a mod out there somewhere that did it, but god damn it, I couldn't find it. FYI, for any animal lovers out there, I love dogs, so don't come sending me messages on Facebook saying, how dare you want to shoot a dog.
Hey, well, you said it on you said it live on air.
Yes, but I clarified. On that note, once again, coming up, we have Wesley on the 16th. We have extraordinaire and current manager of one of the hottest faction in the Pacific Northwest in Hellbound, Mr. Tubbs. And then we have a couple of things tentatively scheduled for May, but we're not going to announce those yet until they become official. So, and once again, that's what I wanted to. We have a new subscriber on YouTube.
We do.
Yes, we do. So thank you to that new subscriber. We are now up to 21 subscribers. We thank you for that. Keep subscribing and liking. Tony, would you like to share with our viewers what our Facebook page is up to?
Last count, and that was because of the tremendous 2 interviews we did this weekend. Last Sunday was an amazing experience for Nathan and I both. It was great to be on this ride with you. But our Facebook page is creeping up close to 100.
which is amazing. Thank you for that. And yes, I would like to thank. I'll say Flex. You say his manager because I still can't get that to register in my head. I know what it is. I just can't put the
Jay Rizzle
West.
for Jay Rizzle for Sizzle.
So thank you to him and to Flex, and we look forward to having you both on the podcast again for part 2. As Jay Rizzle for Sizzle. Hey, I did it. Said in his post about the podcast. Thank you for writing that out. We appreciate that. And I say it. I think both of our opinions. The biggest one we did on Sunday for last, which is Vertigo, the Cure Rivera, who is the son-in-law of
Wrestling royalty.
Wrestling royalty, Wild Samoan Alpha. That was by far one of the most meaningful interviews I've ever done. You can ask the people. I have not stopped talking about that interview since Sunday.
And yes, ladies and gentlemen, you can guarantee that we are trying to get Alpha on this podcast, maybe for like even 5 minutes, just to pop in and say hi to you guys.
Yes, and as Tony mentioned briefly, the biggest thing when he texted you after the show, correct, Tony? Just make sure I'm right on the timeline.
Well, it's like I said, we're not going to get into any logistics or details yet, but I am in the works of trying to talk through Vertigo's help of getting Alpha on the show for 5 or 10 minutes.
No, I was talking about the honorary Oos thing.
Oh, yeah, I guess they enjoyed it so much that, Vertigo called us family, so we consider ourselves honorary Ooses.
Yes, which I'm not ashamed to say, when Tony told me that off air and Pat that off air, I cried.
Yeah, like a little baby.
I have no shame in saying that. And you said this was a joy to be on this ride with you. I completely feel the same. Thank you to Becky Bernhardt and the CARE program as well, because without her and that program, none of this would be possible. For those that are wondering, CARE stands for Community Action Reaching Everyone. And you can find Becky on Facebook. I believe that's the best way to contact her, yes?
Yeah.
I mean, again, without her program, none of this would be possible. She's a one-of-a-kind lady, just like Tony's one-of-a-kind. And we also want to thank our other sponsor, Bruce Nichols Painting, for all your painting needs and pressure washing. So, thank you for supporting the show. We really appreciate it. And thank you very much. And we will see you tomorrow. Possibly for 2 shows. We might do another one like we did this today. And then Tony and I, and if Tony can't make it, I'll come on and do a But with the match with Kenny Omega, I'm assuming you might want to come on and recap that one to give your thoughts.
Gotta love the Kenny Omega match,
Yeah, okay, before we go, I just thought of one more thing. Did you hear the news about Nick Jackson?
Yeah, that injury angle was real.
Yeah, he has a torn bicep. So, I mean, that's unfortunate. Nick, I hope you heal very quickly because you and your brother are one of the best tag teams I've ever seen. I know Tony agrees with that because we've talked about that before. Um, so, get better soon, and we will see you tomorrow.
Yes, we will see you guys tomorrow. All right.